Hey, what's up, guys? It's Tips, and I am very excited to present to you a brand new series that I've been working on, Classic PvP Deep Dives. Now, I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for these for quite some time. The Classic PvP scene is still relatively uncharted territory, at least at the really, really high end of things. There's a lot of information out there when it comes to PvE, when it comes to raiding, when it comes to leveling, but not too many people have talked about Classic PvP, especially at the highest level. So, seeing as the CDL Championships are literally right around the corner, the bracket draw date is tomorrow, January 8th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and the championships are on Saturday, which is really, really cool. But considering that fact, I figured I would take the time to interview some of the competitors, some of who I consider to be the best PvPers, not just in Classic WoW, but some of these guys have won BlizzCon championships, some of these guys have competed at the highest level, and I thought it'd be really interesting to see their insight and to see how they approach the game on a PvP level. The first deep dive will be kicking off right here and right now, and we're going to be doing these in alphabetical order. So this one is for the Druid class, and who better to team up with on this deep dive than the one, the only Skippypoppin, who in my opinion is one of the best, if not the best, Classic WoW Druid in North America, and definitely one of the best in the world as well. This guy plays Druid on a whole different level. He's brought new meta to the game. Skippy is Soda, by the way, in case you guys didn't know that. But yeah, enough of the cringy intro. Time to get into the video. As always, if you want to check out Sodapoppin's social media, you want to see how he plays his Druid at the highest level, you want to watch his stream, links are in the description below. But without further ado, guys, your Classic PvP Druid Deep Dive. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Tips, and we're continuing the PvP Deep Dive series. Joining us today is none other than Sodapoppin. How you doing, Soda?
I'm good. I'm here. I'm chilling. I'm ready.
For sure, for sure. Thank you so much for joining us, by the way. Guys, if you guys did not know, Sodapoppin is very, very accomplished Druid player in Classic WoW as well as in the past. Multi-time rank 1, unironically, Season 9, 13, 14, multi-time gladiator over and over again, and is currently positioned as the #1 Druid in the Classic Duelers League. If you want to see Sodapoppin compete in the CDL Championships on January 11th, you can check him out on his Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Sodapoppin. Will you be streaming maybe on an alternative channel? Chance, I don't know.
Yeah. I'll be streaming it. You'll be able to see me on my alt account for sure.
Awesome.
How much longer to the tournament?
The tournament's in 7 days, and we're going to do the draft on the 8th. So the bracket draws on the 8th.
Okay. All right. Continue my intro.
Of course. Yeah, he's, again, decorated World of Warcraft player, PIA, all that good stuff. Dude, get the hell out. Okay, anyways. Again, dates for the CDL Championships, guys. January 11th is going to be the bracket draw, so if you want to see who Chance goes up against, of course, Chance to me. No, who Chance goes up again. It's going to be on January 8th. We'll pull all the names for the brackets for the first round, and the championships are on January 11th and January 12th. Sodapoppin.
Mm-hmm.
You ready to talk some Druid?
I'm ready to talk some Druid, for sure.
Here we go. So, Druids, one of the most, if not the most versatile class in Classic WoW, a class that a lot of people don't know about, Soda. Like, you go on the internet, look up Druid guides, you'll find a couple of PvE resto guides, but when it comes to PvP, it's all pretty much uncharted territory.
Yeah, that's actually really well put. Not a lot of people have, like Druids. I feel like if you look at, say, like rogues or even mages, they're really hard classes to play, but I could probably name 50 people that can play each of those classes at like the top level. Druids, I could probably count with one hand, especially in like solo Druid PvP type stuff. It's a really weird spec that not a lot of top players really even give it the light of day.
Yeah, definitely. And you're one of those people that's obviously caught my eye and a lot of other people's eye. You play this, you play this class to the maximum potential, and I'm sure a lot of people out there are curious how you do it. So we'll go ahead and start off with just some of the talent builds that you use. Again, very versatile class, so I'm guessing a lot of talent builds. But go ahead and walk us through, and feel free to go as deep as you want to go. If you want to break down each talent individually, more than welcome.
Okay, well, what do we want to talk about first? Do we want to talk about solo Druid PvP? Do we want to talk about flag carrying? Do we want to, there's different builds to really use in PvP. What do you want to jump into first? The one I use in CDL?
We can start off with dueling if that's most convenient. The flag
Sure.
carrying stuff, if you're down, we can keep all the FC stuff to the end and kind of give it its own section because it's so unique,
Okay.
you know?
I mean, that's definitely the thing I'm least experienced in, but yeah, for sure. I could jump into it and speak what I know from it. But like dueling and whatnot, I'd say so there's actually a new build. So I dueled a whole lot on a server called Henhouse, and the build that was going around was 19, 11, 21. I don't know if you have that build on screen. Where you essentially get feral charge and you go into resto, you get nature swiftness, and then you go into balance for just a little bit of damage. That was the build that pretty much everyone used for a long time. It's the most versatile. You've got a kick, you've got damage, you've got healing. But a new spec has started getting used, and I don't really know anyone that used this until somewhat recently. You just completely drop feral charge. You don't get it at all. You go down into resto. You still get nature swiftness because it's like the best button in the game for druids. There's not really a lot of good PvP specs without it. And you just drop literally everything else in balance. So if you go down into the balance tree deep enough, you can get Moonglow, which essentially is just 9% mana, which as a druid class, you're kind of a dampener. You sort of just win on mana by kiting a whole lot. And then you get 10% extra damage, which is obviously going to help a whole lot. Plus, every time you go in bear form for a feral charge, it costs 500 mana just to go in bear for a kick that might not even help you that much, except maybe versus Ellie Shamans. So overall, in my opinion, the best spec for PvP has turned out to be balance. It's the best spec for especially dueling overall. I think druids are one of those classes that just kites and kites. Unlike a mage where you keep your target slowed, you're sort of a class that just outruns the fuck out of everyone with travel form. So I think Moon Fury is overall, yeah, it's actually really good.
So let's go ahead and walk through this then, point by point, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So starting the
Okay.
balance tree, improved Wrath 5 points.
Classic talent calculator. I'm looking it up right now.
No worries.
Okay, so yeah, you're gonna want to get 5 out of 5 in Wrath, 1 point in Nature's Grasp, so we're in balance. You want 5 out of 5 in Moonfire. So Moonfire is like your fucking damage. That's your shit right there. A cool little trick. I'd probably want this where most people listen to the beginning of the video. This is a cool little trick that's really awesome about druids. Damaging. If you max rank Moonfire someone, it puts up the dot of max rank. But then if you do another max rank Moonfire, all it does is it refreshes that dot, right? And the dot actually never ticks. So what you want to do is you apply max rank Moonfire, and then you use rank 9, one rank below it, and it doesn't refresh that dot. So that dot is constantly ticking, and you're hitting for Moonfires that are a little bit less on the initial damage, but it's overall higher DPS and better on your mana. Because you don't refresh that dot constantly and not let it tick.
Gotcha. So you want
it's
rank
actually
10, then rank 9, or max rank, then rank below.
Yeah, you want a rank 9 and max rank Moonfire. Also rank 1 for totem stomping, but that's a different situation. So back to the talents. You need to get natural shapeshifter because you're shifting a lot of stuff. You're constantly shifting slows. You're constantly shifting. Say you're going bear form a whole lot to pre-bear form rogues kidneys. You're shift mage. I don't have to get into how much slows they or how many slows they have. So you're shifting all that, and you're a dampener. You win on mana a lot of the time. So you have to have natural shapeshifter. I don't think there's any build that doesn't have that. Need nature's reach. You can outrange pretty much most classes by damaging them from afar. So nature's reach is extremely important. You need vengeance because it just makes your Moonfires hit twice as hard pretty much. 10% crit and then 100% crit damage is fucking stupid. My Moonfires hit so hard, and every single time someone deals with an actually hard hitting Moonfire, they're stunned at how much damage it does. And then obviously Moonglow for extra mana, and then Moon Fury for that extra 10% damage. Then, in my opinion, you ignore the feral tree in dueling specs. You just completely ignore it. Over to Resto, you need Furor. So when you go bear form, you get the rage.
Sorry to interrupt real quick, but I think I'm missing one point. Just Nature's Grace. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. You need to get Furor because when you go bear form, sometimes you shift in the bear and you just want to bash right away. Also cat form for some random occasions, like maybe a priest that you're fighting. Sometimes you need the to go cat form for the damage. Then you need improved healing touch because you need to get Nature's Swiftness at some point, Reflection for extra mana, Insect Swarm, just another dot for more damage. Then you have a little bit of extra points. And this is debated where you want to put it. I personally say Nature's Focus 3 times, because you can't get to Nature's Swiftness if you don't do it. And then you get Improved Rejuve is also debatable, because Improved Rejuve doesn't benefit off of spell power. I still get it with how little gear everyone has. So 3 out of 3 Improved Rejuve, 3 out of 5 Nature's Focus, and then you get Nature's Swiftness. And this, is my opinion, is the best spec for Druid, in dueling at least.
So Improved Rejuve, you just brought it up. It doesn't scale, you said, with extra spell power at all?
Nope. It only improves the healing of the base Rejuve healing. So in the current gear, we don't have a lot of spell like plus healing or plus damage, so I think it's worth it in this state of the game. But later on, once more spell power and more plus healing starts coming into the game, I think Improved Rejuve is not the play in PvP.
Where would you put those points instead?
I genuinely would just max out Nature's Focus for when a pet is beating on you. And you can just like cast a regrowth and a face of a hunter or a warlock. Or if they're spamming a bunch of like robot chickens and shit like that, or I don't know. I genuinely see more value there sometimes.
I got you. Okay. So this is the dueling spec that you've been using, obviously to great success. Before we move on, I guess, into other specs for other situations, is there anything you want to comment on this one in particular? Like,
well, this is, so you don't have feral charge anymore. Like against a mage, for example, if you're fighting a mage, a lot of times maybe you'd want to go bear form, lock out the mage. But really, all you do by feral charging is you are now in melee range of the mage, which the whole idea is to keep your distance and don't let the mage cast on you too much. You're constantly outranging him, you're constantly running, and you're riding him down with dots. So you lock him out, but now say you lock out Frostbolt, now he's just going to scorch you. And you're in fucking melee. You have no way to get out. And you spent 500 mana just to do that. So, but there are times feral charge does have its uses. For example, versus rogues, it can really help. But I think overall, in say a dueling tournament and an overall situation, this spec I've learned is far better. Plus, in Classic, the batching and whatnot, you have to wait for your rage to kind of tick in. You can't just go bear and charge right away. You have to go bear. It takes half a second for Furor to kick in, for that rage to come into your rage bar. Then you can feral charge, and it's just bad. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I see a lot more value in this spec, and it's done really well.
Absolutely. And you've executed it to perfection. When would you hop out of this spec? So you talked about it in the beginning a little bit, world PvP, BGs, whatever the case may be, AV, open world PvP farming like we did at the start of phase 2 was a little bit different. When would you hop out of this spec?
So this spec is good for solo Druid, but during the world PvP phase where I was farming in Stormwind with rogues, I was debating dropping some points in balance and getting feral charge, because it's just good support to say my rogue is killing a warrior and there's a holy paladin casting holy light. To lock out that holy light is a pretty fucking big deal. So in that support sense, I would definitely drop a lot of points and maybe go that 19, 11, 21 spec I was telling you about. But also just going pure healing Swiftmend is a really good, it's the only good end talent point that there is. Like Moonkin is a meme, Leader of the Pack is a meme, but Swiftmend is good. So going deep resto is another idea. It depends on the situation, but overall I stuck this spec through the whole I like the solo aspect of it. I would never unspec this if I'm not solo PvPing.
Got you.
This is what I'd roll.
So even in like a world PvP 1v1 situation, like if you're just like in STV or something, some level 60 paladin comes out of nowhere, this is the spec you would rock?
In most cases, yes. I mean, you can pub stomp. Like I could kill really bad healers if I have feral charge, but I really don't have a chance of killing them quickly in world PvP without feral charge. I'll kill them. But it might take a little while, and in world PvP, someone is going to fucking come and help by the time I maybe get them low. But overall, I think this is still the play.
Awesome. Okay, really, really cool. Before we move on into like the itemization, how you itemize around the spec, is there anything else you want to
Yeah.
add?
No, I mean when it comes to the spec, it has it's over. Yeah, no, not really. I think this is it.
All right, cool, cool. So capitalizing on that versatility with druids is like
Yeah,
itemization, and this is something that, I mean, I've seen you've got like sets for everything. You're
yeah,
farming gear for so many different situations. So let's just jump right into it here. Obviously, you play a Tauren druid. Maybe Night Elf has a couple of differences because they don't have the war stomp, but we're gonna pretty much go as if this is just any druid for the
sure,
most part. So we'll go slot by slot, and we'll talk about sets. We'll talk about trinkets and everything like that. Starting off with the headpiece.
sure.
Actually, before we go into that, let's talk about the tier sets. Tier
All
1
right.
for Druid, Cenarian, which seems to drop off of every single boss we do in Molten Core.
It never stops.
Yeah. I've heard you criticize the set a lot. You're not a big fan of it in certain situations. In PvP, is it a good set? Is it a bad set? How many pieces do you go for? Do you go for the bonuses?
Yeah, I do. It's gonna be obviously the best is the PvP gear. I think druids probably have the best set bonus out of any class in the game. It's insane how good it can be. But I definitely go for the set bonuses because your first set bonus for tier 1 is thorn damage, which people meme on, but it's actually really good versus rogues. Second is 2% critical strike, which is also really nice to have. So in my helm, I'm gonna wear Cenarian helm because it also gives spell damage. And I think if you're dueling, you want to get spell damage over plus healing if you can. If you want to play offensively and get a lot of value out of all your spells and whatnot, I think it's definitely the play. So tier 1 helm is good. Out of any other piece you can really get. If you want to try and get the 5 piece, you definitely want to get that.
Okay, sweet, sweet. Is there ever a situation where you use Rocket Helm or anything like that, Mind Control Helm?
Oh, in duels, we're not allowed to,
Oh,
but
no, yeah.
yeah, for sure. In World PvP, I'll have the rocket helm equipped. It's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Hey, my AV popped.
Nice, nice. How far are you on the grind right now? What rank are you?
I've got 5,000 honor so far this week. I'm really going hard this week, as you can tell, and I'm rank 8. It's huge, man. Huge. Love it.
Look at that, dude. 5K, nice. That was like what, 1 AV? Maybe 2.
Dog, I've gotten deserter pretty much every AV I've done. I'm AFK the whole time.
Awesome, awesome. Well, best of luck to you on your road to rank 14, which I'm sure you'll get one day.
Nope.
All right, moving down to the neck piece then. Lot of
Choker
different
of the
options.
Fire Lord.
Choker
of the Fire Lord. No other options. But no guild will ever give it to you because you're a meme, and they're going to give it to mages and warlocks. It's stupid, but Choker the Fire Lord is your BIS. It is super good, and you want it. I recommend making a pug and reserving it for yourself and leading the pug to victory.
Absolutely.
That's what I do.
Guys, if you've got 8 to 9 hours on, Thursday nights, definitely a good option for you. In case you don't, however, what would you say is kind of a viable option? Because druids, again, like you said, like a little bit memey, you're not going to get
Choker
not
of
always Enlightenment.
Choker of Enlightenment for sure. Yeah. In duels, it still gives you that damage and healing that you're going to want. It's just less.
Okay, sweet, sweet. And this drops off the first boss in MC. It's not super prio for other classes. Druids can definitely get this pretty easily. If you're
go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say if you're ever facing like a rogue, for example, or a melee heavy class, do you ever swap to like Iskandra's Collar or anything like that, or like are any of these pieces ever interchangeable, or do you pretty much keep these?
In the next slot, I never change it.
Okay.
I don't think anything like I'm gonna wear armor rings already versus rogues, and at some point armor just starts doing less for me. And I think with the way I play versus rogues, especially without PvP trinket, I definitely need a lot of damage to rush the game and end it quicker than long.
Yeah, got you. Okay, then moving on to the shoulder piece.
Okay, shoulder piece. Wild growth spalders are your best because the plus healing from them is insane. But if you're going to swap out and use the rocket helmet, then you need to put in the tier 1 Cenarian spalders to keep that 5-piece set bonus. With the other pieces I'm going to throw in later.
Okay, yeah, it definitely makes sense.
So that's something I definitely swap out a whole lot.
Got you. Cloak.
Cloak, Saffron Drape, if you can get it. If not, Hide of the Wild is right behind it. But I just love spell damage. Any damage and healing, I prioritize over plus healing in solo druid PvP for sure.
Okay. Chess piece.
Well, this is it depends on what I'm fighting. If I'm fighting a melee, I'm gonna use Scenario Investments. I need the armor, so there's tier 1 chest. But if I'm fighting, say, a mage, Robe of Volatile Power, baby. Again, I recommend making a pug. They'll never give this piece to you, but if you make a pug, you reserve it for yourself at work.
There you go, dude. There you go. Meta strats from Sodapoppin here. Guys, if you want to see how leading a pug is done right, definitely check him out on twitch.tv/Skippypoppin. He actually does a great job.
Yep. That's so good. I think you took over my raid last time, but you did a better job than me.
Oh man, that was a fun night. Okay, so Robes of Volatile Power, if you're able to do it. If not, we'll go Scenario Investments. Wrists.
Wrists, I don't have any other wrists other than tier 1 wrists. They do everything I want them to do. I don't really have anything to swap them to either.
Okay.
From what I found.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head if there's any wrists that you... No, I don't think so. You're right. Yeah.
It's just tier 1 wrists. That's where it is. Weapon, I use Aura Stone Hammer, and then obviously Furlbog Medicine Pouch if it's off cooldown, or the Ancient Cornerstone Grimoire if it's off cooldown. If those aren't there, I'm going to swap and use the Staff of Dominance if I had it, but I don't. And then versus melee, you can use your good old Time-Worn Mace, because it gets, finding a weapon with good armor on it is really nice. And again, you can line up the Time-Worn Mace, since it's one-hander, with the Furlbog Medicine Pouch, or the Cornerstone Grimoire. If you don't have either of those on cooldown, then you're using a Warden Staff.
Got you. Okay, so kind of walking through these one at a time. Okay. Furbolg Medicine Pouch, reward for reputation with the Furbolgs, whatever. You gotta grind all those Furbolgs in like Fellwood and Winterspring and stuff.
Snort some crack, do it in one day, and you'll be good.
There you go. There's a spot, I saw it on Reddit the other day. Apparently there's a spot where they like infinitely respawn. Did you use that spot? Yeah.
No, I didn't. I did it before everyone else, and that Reddit post wasn't made yet.
It feels bad, man. Well, you got it now. Is this the one you kind of have equipped off the get-go? Like, you named a couple of them. What's like the priority, you would say?
I would say priority. Am I fighting a melee, like a rogue, or am I fighting a caster?
Let's start with the casters, and then we'll go to melee.
All right, casters, I'm probably... Well, you banned Cornerstone Grimoire in the duel tournament because it's so busted. I use Aura Stone Hammer, and I actually like using Furlbog Medicine Pouch equipped at all times, and then after I use the healing effect at the beginning, I'll swap it to the corner fucking skeleton thing. And after 30 seconds, I throw that out really quick if I need to.
Got you. Is there ever a scenario where you use Skull of Impending Doom, or because of shifting and like...
I didn't even mention that. Yeah, I do, but I'll never have it equipped in like World PvP. Only in like a I know what's about to happen situation. Either flag carrying, I'll have it equipped, or if I'm dueling a hunter, are the only times I can think I'll really have it equipped.
Gotcha. And that's for the scatter shot?
Yeah, I mean, we can go through each class and the strategy, but versus a hunter, it's really funny how the duel goes and what's supposed to happen.
All right. If you're up for that, I'm down to do that towards the end.
Sure.
All right, sweet. We did miss gloves. Is it just Cenarian gloves or?
Cenarian gloves, and I don't really have any replacement. I'm ignoring PvP gear right now. If we want to keep doing that.
Okay, yeah, we can. We'll go back to the PvP gear after we finish this set. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. All right. Waist then, is it also just Cenarian belt?
No, I actually use Mana Igniting Cord. If you can get it, again, make a pug. Reserve that for yourself. If I'm fighting a melee, I'm going to use Cenarian belt, like a rogue specifically. And warrior. Rogue, warrior, hunter. Actually, maybe not even hunter.
Okay. Do you ever use the engineering belt, the absorb belt, or anything like that, or no?
No. I mean, it has its moments, and it's definitely good, but I just don't care that much.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think you really need some more. Like, you have to. Druids have plenty of defensives. We're lacking offensives here.
Yeah, I feel you. Okay, so legs.
I use Cenarian leggings because they give 1% crit over the tier 2 legs. And also, again, I really want to get that 5-piece. And if I'm going to wear Robes of Volatile Power and Mana Igniting Cord, I have to take the tier pieces where I can get them.
Okay, I see what you mean.
For tier 1.
Feet?
Cenarian boots. Don't swap to anything else. There's no other boots to really get over those.
Do you ever find yourself using rocking boots at any time or no?
Flag carrying, world PvP, again, it has its moments, but in a duel situation, like I haven't tested them enough in duels because they're banned in the CDL. But I think they'd have their moments for sure to wear rocket boots. But I could only think I'd want to use them versus like a rogue, but then I'm giving up armor. And I can't outrun a rogue, really. Yeah, I think I'd use rocket boots versus rogues. If it was a duel and they were allowed, for sure. But if I'm walking around a world PvP, not a chance.
Okay. All right, moving on to the rings. I know you got a couple of options here.
Okay, so druids, again, like we have bear form and it just loves armor, just gets multiplied by everything. So to wear a ring that adds armor is like a super big deal. We can get super damage reduction if we get extra armor on these awkward, weird pieces like our weapon. We talked about it earlier, and then the rings. So 2 rings that are really good. Ring of Protection is this little blue ring. I think it's from some quest. And then there's another blue ring that basically gives 150 armor, 7 strength, and like 5 stamina, I think. Or 5 stam, 7 strength. I'm not sure. But they're both from quests. But you can also get the heavy Dark Iron ring from Molten Core, which is better than that one, which is what I use. So if you can get the heavy Dark Iron ring, get that one, and then Ring of Protection. Those are your 2 best armor rings versus rogues, I'd say. And if you can't get heavy Dark Iron ring, there's another blue ring from a quest. It's very easy to get. I'd recommend getting that. And then outside of the armor rings, again, I got 2 cauterizing bands, and they're nice. Yeah, you can thank my pug. I reserve everything I want.
Shout out to the pug, dude. Shout out to the pug.
Is huge.
And I know you're going after some rings of spell power as well.
Yes, but I would never use those in duels. Stamina is one of your best stats, and they add 0. I don't think I'd use them. I think I'd stick with the cauterizing bands. So
against melee in like a perfect situation, you'd go heavy Dark Iron ring and maybe like Thrall's Resolve, the 150.
Oh, okay. So Thrall's Resolve is the other armor ring you can get from a quest. Ring of Protection is better than Thrall's Resolve because it adds 2 extra stamina.
Okay, sweet. So this is like ideal is Ring of Protection and heavy Dark Iron against melee.
Against a rogue, maybe not a warrior.
Okay. And then again against casters, you'd go double cauterizing.
Yes, I would. If you can get it. Ring of Spell Power is right there with Cauterizing Band if you can get a hold of it. But I just think Cauterizing is a little bit better.
It's 46 healing if you're able to get
2 of them.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the trinkets.
Oh boy.
The way we did this with Bruce is we just kind of went class by class. And then, or we start off with like basic, like what would you have and kind of just a general open world PvP situation where you don't really know what you're going to go up against, and then like class by class. So if you want to do that, we can do that.
Well, if we're gonna at the very end talk about the strategy versus every class in a duel, we can save the trinket, what you want to wear versus the classes at the end. But just trinkets that you're gonna want to carry around all together. If you got Tidal Charm, you should always have that. That's important. PvP trinket, I think, it's probably one of the most useful things on Druid. I think Druids benefit from PvP trinket more than any other class almost. It's up there. It's insane. Because the whole idea is a Druid can die in 1 stun if you don't pre-bear form it. So if you can trinket that stun, it's your lifeline. It's really big. So PvP trinket is always equipped if it's off cooldown, no exceptions. Versus every class, if I have it, I'm pretty much going to have it equipped. You're going to want Lifestone. You're going to want every single reflector. You want the chicken. You want the mithril dragonling. You're going to want Arena Grandmaster. I think if I'm roaming in world PvP, the 2 trinkets I'm going to have equipped, if I could choose any off cooldown, is PvP trinket and AGM. I think those are really big and nice to have. That or Tidal Charm. Obviously, you want some trinkets that don't have cooldowns in case everything's on cooldown. You want Briarwood Reed just for the damage and healing. You could even get the Eye of the Beast for 2% crit. I don't have a lot of trinkets in my inventory right now, so I can't see all of them. Shit, what other trinkets would you want? Oh, you need the fucking net. The net is so good to just net people. What else? Oh, the invisibility trinket to go invis. You need that. I can keep listing shit. I use all of these at many points.
Yeah.
What else is good? Gnomish Death Ray is kind of a meme. It doesn't have a lot of use on a druid. Maybe you land a bash and you Death Ray off of it, but at that point you're kind of just memeing. You're best off Moonfire spamming in the bash. Oh, nifty stopwatch. You need that. What else do you need? Shit.
What do you, I know you use it in well, I guess I don't think it stacks with travel form, right?
What?
Nifty stopwatch?
No, but a lot of times, say you're fighting a rogue and you're running away, you can't cast spells while you're in travel form. So if I'm running from a rogue, that rogue maybe wants to blind me. I could be spamming Abolish while still running really fast, or Moonfire spamming him while running fast. Same with a warrior. I want to be able to Moonfire him, and he's not able to hit me. It has its moments for pretty much every class. It's the same thing with rocket boots. Being able to move fast while casting spells is really big for a druid.
Got you. Okay. So generally the strategy seems like if you're going against specifically a rogue, it seems more than a warrior. Specifically a rogue, you stack armor and stack kind of things to keep you alive to get you away. I'm guessing you use AGM against a rogue as well? Yeah,
I do. So the whole idea with a rogue and the way druids work is we're so fucking mobile. We just run. And if we get away, we're going to kill you. That's that simple. So we're going to get to this in the end, but a rogue, for example, if I fairy fire them, their vanish now is no longer a vanish, it's a root break. And one of the strategies is really to just break his class in a way where he has no vanishes left, he has no sprints left, he has no trinket left. He can't get to you. He cannot get to you, period. The whole idea is just surviving the opener, and just he's going to literally vanish every root you throw at him. He's going to trinket bash if he can't. If you land a bash, you sometimes kind of win the duel because of that. But he's going to vanish every root. He's going to PvP trinket every root. If you throw a net on him, he's going to maybe spider belt it and whatnot. And he's not going to let you get away. If you get away, you win. There's nothing else to it. You can be fucking and if he has no blinds, no sprints, and no vanishes, you could root him and just drink to full. He can't do anything. He can't catch you. You just travel for him and outrun him. So just surviving to that point of the duel where it's kind of over, that's what you're looking for. And you're in bear form stun lock the whole time. You want to be taking as little damage as possible. And that's where the armor really kicks in versus rogues.
Got you. A lot of people, they don't have access to some, like, you know, obviously armor is one thing, but they don't have access to like damage prevention, like AGM, for example. It's a really hard trinket to get. Marker resolution, is it a worthwhile substitution, or is the lack of absorb just not worth it anymore?
It's worth it. The whole idea of a rogue, at least until you get to the really top level, in my opinion, the whole idea is surviving the opener. Okay, and getting like Nature's Grasping, rooting him, he vanishes. If you have a War Stomp, root him again. He has to prep vanish. Maybe he has PvP trinket. You can Goblin net him. If he has Spider Bolt equipped, he uses it. So he has something to get out of every single one of your roots, but more than likely he won't. And he's going to die if you do all of that. And just surviving to that point of the duel. If he has all of that stuff, at that point, that's where we get to the CDL type duels where you have to take a different route. And it's iffy. It's weird, but it works sometimes.
Got you. Okay. So yeah, this is pretty much the itemization of a druid. For those that are watching this on YouTube, I'll leave a link to this itemization in the description below if you guys want to reference it. Anything else you want to talk about when it comes to items, like unique combos, unique items that you use?
I mean, I don't know if we're wanting to talk about like BWL and in the future and things like that. I'm more just focusing on right now in this tier.
Yeah.
But I haven't mentioned PvP gear. If you can wear PvP gear, in my opinion, in most cases, the blue gear You get 15% increased movement speed in all your forms with the set bonuses. But if you wear the blue gear, you are giving up on some pretty juicy stats you could have if you were just to wear tier 1. I mean, the stats are better. But if you can get the epic gear, I think you wear that epic gear to the end of the game. Not even Naxxramas replaces it. So it's really nice to have that stuff.
Got you. So if you get rank 13, you get all the epic pieces, you use them pretty much by default. The blue set, are there any pieces that you wouldn't use?
If you can get the entire blue set, I wouldn't use the gloves. The gloves are garbanzo. They literally add 9 intellect and 12 stam. Agility and strength is worthless on a druid if you're playing the Boomkin spec that, in my opinion, is the only way to actually kill things. Don't bring up Feral in PvP. It's a fucking joke. It's terrible. It's the worst fucking spec. And I don't care what anyone says. It's bad.
Got you. Okay. All right, so you're saying the Blood Guards, Dragonhide grips, you don't touch those, basically?
I mean, look at the stats, man. There's bad. Increase your stealth detection, I guess. It's situational, but your overall rogues are going to get their opener on you. Every other piece, it adds spell damage, at least. It adds some better stats outside of the strength and agility that might help. And then the set bonus, again, that's the key. That's the nice little helpful thing right there for sure.
Okay, sweet. All right. Anything else when it comes to itemization? You want to talk for this, like, kind of the phase that we're currently at?
What'd you say?
Anything else when it comes to, like, itemization for, like, our current phase? Let me ask you this. You say Druid's like really...
So I can talk about stats rather than just gear.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the main thing you want to go for is you really want spell damage. Damage and healing. Ending the game quicker. You just get more benefits from just in a duel if you have damage and healing. Dealing damage and increases healing. It's really nice to have. Also, crit is really good. Moonfire is your best friend. And with the talents, you get 100% damage from Moonfire. You will chunk people. On top of that, if you have Nature's Grace, you can now cast a Wrath in 1 second. It helps. It's some actually crazy DPS to be able to do that stuff. So crit, spell damage, get it in any which way you can, and you're going to pump. No one's going to expect the damage you're going to actually do. No one expects it until they see it for the first time. You're a dampener, so you want to do as much damage without spending the least amount of mana. If you can Wrath, you should be Wrathing. So versus a Mage, for example, if I fake the Mage's CS, I want to start Wrathing rather than Moonfire spamming. It's just better on the mana. Simple as that.
Okay.
So reducing the cast is pretty nice to do, especially since, you have to fake CS, and then you can cast, and then you have to heal at some point, and then by then his CS is back. So you want to squeeze in as many rats as you can. Warlocks, same exact situation. Priests, you got to try and make them on the defensive, squeezing in the rats. It's a big deal.
Okay. Is there ever a situation when you think about using resistance sets or anything like that as a druid, or no?
No, because from what I've learned, there's been a handful of my friends that have tested out resistances. I think Saren really tested it out a lot. I lose too much mana by going for those resist pieces. And you have to reach a really high amount of resist for it to really benefit. And at that point, I'm casting 3 spells and I'm So I may take no damage, but I'm not going to kill them. I won't be able to.
Yeah.
Mana is really nice to have, yeah.
Is that the losing condition? Like, what would you say is like the losing condition for druids? Like, what are people trying to do to you? Are they trying to you? Are they trying to burst you?
Well, so it depends on the class. Most mana users are trying to me. Maybe a priest is trying to... priests and warlocks can definitely kill me just in a death coil stun or a priest silence. But a mage is, I think, trying to get me in a position where I'm low, I fall behind, and they have CS off cooldown. And I have no choice but to cast a heal. They lock me out and I die. A rogue is just trying to run me down. Every single CC I throw at them, they instantly break, and they never let me get distance. That simple. They spam every cooldown. They do not get lenient on hitting. They're not afraid to hit Vanish on anything to break a root. They're not afraid to Trinket a root. They're not afraid to hit any button. Spam everything. Just smork me. Same with warriors, even. You've dueled me plenty of times in your warrior. You've kind of seen how it is. As soon as I get away, the duel is over. And that's with melee. But with, say, a shaman, yeah, they're trying to me for sure. Oh, fuck, actually, never mind. They can also one-shot me if they're Ellie. It happens. But if you're playing it right, if the druid doesn't get caught in any ridiculous shit, it happens. But if it doesn't happen, yeah, it's a mana game. You're a dampener for sure.
Okay. That's a really good perspective to have and really good way to approach the game as a druid. So then if you want, let's go into each one at a time, class breakdowns.
Okay. All right.
Starting off with druid versus druid. We'll go alphabetical order, I guess. Druid versus druid. So yeah, I saw the duel with you and Reverie. You guys just kind of messing around because, you know, that duel basically doesn't end, right?
I shouldn't say doesn't end, but it's a meme. So the whole point is you want to do as much damage by spending the least amount of mana, right? The best way to do that would be to go cat form because it costs 500 mana and you could dish out infinite damage with that 500 mana, right? But the other druid can just hibernate you. And if you eat the hibernate, let's say you're half mana and I land a hibernate on the opposing druid I'm fighting. Now I can drink. I'm getting mana back. So you don't want to get hibernated. That can't happen. So, but you don't have a kick. So you go cat form. All you're going to end up doing, if he casts hibernate, is shifting out of it. You just wasted 500 mana. So you don't want to use cat form, really. But let's say I get dotted by a moonfire. Okay? If I go cat form now, he can't hibernate me because the moonfire dot will break it. So the best way to play it is to never dot the opposing druid, because if you dot him, you enable him to go cat and get a lot of damage with little mana. Never dot him. You never want to go cat form because then you get hibernated. You don't want to cast Wrath or Starfire because a druid that's healing through the other druid casting like Wrath and Starfire is spending less mana. You're spending more mana by doing damage than healing through it. So you'll lose the mana war. So what ends up happening, the best way to play the duel is to genuinely sit in caster form and melee him with a two-handed mace.
And that's why you're going for Hand of Rag.
Yes. That's also because it does 5 damage to attackers and it can be good for rogues. Gotcha. So I'm going to try out a reflect set versus rogues.
Okay.
We'll see how that goes.
So let's say hypothetically, again, duel tournament on January 11th. We do the draw on the 8th. Stick my name in the jar, pull it out, Sodapoppin, stick my name in the jar, pull it out. It's Reverie. What would kind of be your approach in that situation?
Well, I think this time we'll play it out and we'll just see what happens. Because I on paper, that's sort of how the duel would go, but I haven't fully played it. Maybe someone's going to go eventually. Also know in the CDL rules, eventually you stop being able to use water after a certain amount of time, right? You only have a certain amount left. So that it would definitely end eventually. Because eventually you're immune to hibernate. So I could let the other druid hibernate me all he wants. So who gives a fuck? He'll have to stop drinking. He won't really get any benefits out of it. And I'm still in cat, not spending mana. So I think what would happen is it would either a lot of damage will get dished out more than we'd expect. Maybe we get some lucky crits, or it's going to run down to one of us running out of water to the point we're not allowed to use it anymore. And someone's going to go and die.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be really exciting to see how that goes. Hopefully it doesn't last too long.
Druid versus Druid's a meme, man. I think most class versus class matchups are memes.
Yeah. And we are avoiding mirror matches for round 1 of the draw, so hopefully that won't happen.
You draw it, I'll play it out. I swear I will. I will practice.
You've been practicing a lot, by the way, or in general, I think, for the duel tournaments. Take it very seriously, and I think it definitely shows in your performance. So let's move on, I guess, next class, and this one's really interesting because you talked about druids playing the distance game. So do hunters. Saw you duel hunters a couple of times during the CDL. It seems like it could go one way or the other.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the hunter matchup, and what do you do there?
Okay, so hunter versus druid is really annoying. It's super dumb. It feels dumb. So I've taken a lot of different approaches in how I want to duel a hunter. The problem is, well, they did fix this. Before, if they Viper Stinged you out of form and then you went bear, it would continue to drain your mana. It doesn't do that anymore, which is really nice. But you can't really use bear form versus a hunter because it is a mana game, in my opinion. and they can cast Scare Beast on you. And if they land a Fear on you, they can drink, and they get their mana back or their health back. They eat as well, which kind of sucks. So the whole idea is you're going to open on the hunter, you're going to put up your dots, he's going to scatter, he's going to trap you, he's going to line up an aim shot. If you try and bear form the trap, he can still cast Scare Beast on you. It's not good. You don't want that to happen. You can try and maybe stop his opener a little bit, but the whole point is you have to rush him down before he scatter traps you, eats, and drinks. And then after that, scatter traps you, eats, and drinks. And he's going to do it over and over and over again. He's just going to constantly eat and drink. It's really fucking annoying, and it sucks. But the whole idea... Fuck, there was a point I was trying to get at. I'm in AV. I keep losing my train of thought. I'll stop. Let me stop doing AV. Okay. The whole idea is you can't let him eat and drink because eventually he will you, you will die, and you have to Moonfire spam. That's genuinely what you have to do the entire duel. Mm-hmm. Bear form doesn't work very well, and also you need to outrange his scatter trap. So the best way to deal with him doing that is run away from him. You'd think most classes want to dead zone a hunter. You actually want to just constantly let him beat you from max range and outrange his scatter and get as much damage in while his scatter is not on cooldown. Because if you do that and you squeeze in a little bit of damage, you might out DPS the amount he's healing from constantly trapping you. And it sucks because when a hunter frost traps you, they immediately leave combat. They get to immediately eat and drink. That's what Bean would do. At least at the top level, that's how they play it. You can try and kill their pet, but their pet has a fuck ton of resistances, so it's kind of hard to do that. The strat, at the end of the day, out of all the testing I've done, is to genuinely Zerg the hunter and Moonfire spam him to death. That is your button. You can try and Skull of Impending Doom his scatter, but it's high risk, especially with the fact that it drains your mana. You can try and throw a pet on him to keep him in combat. So when he traps you, you have a pet that hits the hunter and stops his eat and drink. But his pet will taunt your pet, and then he'll eat and drink.
Got you.
It's super annoying. So the whole idea is genuinely to rush him down, Moonfire him, and hope you get Moonfire crits and you out DPS his spam eat and drink. Sorry, it was a really bad explanation, but that's at the end of the day what I figured is best.
No, I got you 100%. I have 2 questions though. They might be super noobish, so I apologize.
You're good.
Have you ever thought about glimmering mithril and signating in a hunter duel in order to burn the Scare Beast?
It is good, but the benefit you gain from it. So you stop the Scare Beast. You can try and do it in the opener. You bear form a lot of his burst, but the problem isn't surviving his damage. It's killing him. Mm-hmm. And eventually he will you. Like, for example, when I duel Bean, he actually doesn't even aim shot me out of the Frost Trap. He eats and drinks until the last tick of Freezing Trap, and then he does a Viper Sting. So what the Viper Sting does is it actually ticks, and that is what breaks the Freezing Trap. I obviously can't break it or dispel the Viper Sting on that tick because I was frozen, and then I dispel it, but he just drains my mana slowly because of it. That's how Bean and Bruce would play it, is a Viper Sting. So you can Mithril Insignia and whatnot, but overall, Scare Beast isn't necessarily your problem. It's definitely more so mana.
Got you.
Bear form. It's just it's a mana war. I don't care much about his damage. It's not the big scary thing unless he gets ridiculous crits.
Got you. So in one
but
of those
I have tried Mithril Insignia. Yeah, I have tried it.
Yeah. In one of those duels against Bean, you also used a Cannonball Runner. I
forgot about that. Yeah, you're reminding me of a lot of my strats. Okay.
If there's anything you don't want to talk about, by the way, feel free just to say I don't want to talk about it.
It's cool. It's already like public info. So I talked about how the whole strat versus hunter is to genuinely run him down, Moonfire spam him. That's what you want to do. You have to do it. You have to just fucking smork his health down and then NS heal back to full and keep Moonfiring. Like your Moonfire should be like the key should be faded away from your keyboard. That's how hard you hit it. But if you really want to like try and outplay him, which you should try and do this and mind game them, when they do get in range to scatter shot you, you can drop a Cannonball Runner, and that Cannonball Runner can actually eat a trap. This is why I don't wear the Mithril Insignia, because there's like better trinkets to wear. You need AGM to keep offensive. You need Cannonball Runner to try and eat the trap, because a lot of the times you're dependent on that happening. So you drop the cannonball runner, it acts as an actual unit, and you stand on top of it. If he tries to scatter trap you, the cannonball runner has a high chance of eating the trap. At that point, if you land that, you win the duel. It's over.
Gotcha.
He can't CC you, and your moonfires are going to fucking kill him. You're going to get ahead in the duel. Yeah.
Okay. It's always a fun one, by the way, seeing you go against Hunter. I think it's Druid Hunter is really fun to watch, at least from a spectator standpoint.
Yeah, it's really cool, but at the end of the day, it really is just running him down. Dead zoning the Hunter at the top level is not the play. Bear forming is not the play. It seems so stupid, and it's kind of hard to get out of the habit of doing that, but it's not the play. It's to genuinely constantly outrange the Hunter when scatters off cooldown, max range him and moonfire spam, and make his life difficult when it comes to getting that scatter any way you can. I don't even actually, now that I remember, I don't even open on Hunters. I start from max distance.
Yeah, so you don't go for the stealth into the
Nope.
Yeah, okay.
Not even worth my time. I max range because the thing, if I pounce him, he's gonna scatter trap me out of it. I don't want him to do that. I just max range and moonfire. Sorry, I haven't dueled on 60 in a long time, so a lot of this is coming back to me now.
No worries. Okay, so that's pretty much for Hunter. Let's move on to another matchup, matchup that you do really well with, the Mage matchup. So against the Mage, I've seen you use Frost Reflect and Fire Reflect at the same time, I think. Is that what you usually go for?
Yes. Well, it depends on what's off cooldown, right? I used those because I think AGM might have been off cooldown or on cooldown. So Fire Reflect is good because you just reflect a Fire Blast if you know the timer on Fire Blast. It's actually really easy to reflect it as a Druid because they're using it off cooldown always. It's just easy damage versus a class that can shift everything, right? So it's a good little reflect there. Frost Reflector is also really good. So the whole idea versus Druid versus Mage, you're supposed to win. Druid is supposed to win, but it is you're not supposed to win every time. There are games where the Mage should come out on top. It's just not most of the time. The Mage has to get really lucky crits. It doesn't happen very often. So the whole matchup is the Druid can shift every single Nova that the Mage wants to do with Travel Form, because Travel Form only costs 174 mana. You don't need to go Baron Form or Cat Form with that shit. It's stupid. And you run the Mage. You can either run the Mage or you can run his health down. I prefer running his health down. That's what I prefer doing. It's I think it's overall better to do, especially without Feral Charge, because you can evocate way easier.
Yeah. Well, it's worked for you so far. Have you lost against the Mage?
No, not yet.
Okay.
They can win. I've done practice duels versus Ven. Ven was practicing on me a whole lot before his game versus, I think, Reverie, which he ended up, I think he got 2 wins versus Reverie. It all comes down to the Mage is able to cast freely, right? You don't have a kick. You don't have anything to stop it. So the Mage is going to cast Frostbolt whenever he can, and he's actually going to try and push you to the outside of the duel area. He's going to spam rank 1 Frostbolt, make you shift and travel form a whole lot, spending a little bit of mana here and there. It adds up after doing it a whole lot. Once he gets you to the end of the duel area, the only way you have to go is through the Mage or constantly hug the outside of, if you picture a circle in your mind. At that point, he's going to cast max rank Frostbolts. And if those max rank Frostbolts crit, that is where the Mage can win. If he gets you low enough and has counterspell off cooldown, he's going to maybe force NS, which maybe you'll live. But if he does it again, you're for sure dead. You have no way to get your health back. You're going to die. So it all is dependent on the Mage getting crits in that situation. If you can picture in your head the duel area, a big circle, he just forces you to the end of it, and you have nowhere to go, and you're just eating constant max rank Frostbolts. That's where Frost Reflector can come in, and you reflect those Frostbolts to give you a little bit of leeway to survive. You have Iron Grenades, and that, in my opinion, is why Druid should win, is you have that stuff. But if he gets the crits where, unavoidable Frostbolts hit you, that's your lose condition. Overall, though, you're just dotting him and rotting him. You're constantly outranging him. You're not letting him pump on you too hard. Keep yourself topped off the entire duel. Don't underestimate the Mage damage, and you should win.
Perfect breakdown. Let's move on to the next one. You already talked about Rogue a little bit. Talk about stacking armor. Trinkets against the Rogue.
Dude, I hate rogues, man. I hate them so much. So are we talking about backstab rogues or hemo rogue? Hemo cold blood? You gotta tell me. It's different, man. It's so different.
We see Hemo Cold Blood more often, so we can start with that. But I'm down to talk about daggers too.
Okay, so Hemo Cold Blood, it is as smorkish as it can possibly get. I have learned, so I talked about earlier, the rogue can break every root you can possibly throw at him. If you War Stomp root him, assuming you're Turin, he can, He can vanish it. So you're going to get opened on with Cheap Shot into Gouge and to Kidney or whatever this rogue's opener might be. It should be Cheap Shot. He's going to open on you, and you're going to maybe be fucking like half health by the end of it if you're in bear form. You have to let him get the opener because your stealth is worse than his. Rogue always gets open for the most part. And at that point, you need to get Fairy Firearm as soon as you can. You need to keep track of the rogue's combo points. If you get kidney shotted out of bear, you lose. Unless you have PvP Trinket, but that's your one lifeline. You don't want to just waste that shit. You got to get Fairy Fire on him so he can't vanish, re-stealth, things like that. And then you want to root him as soon as you can, and you can maybe at that point War Stomp root him, but he's got a vanish. You War Stomp root, he's got a vanish. If you fucking NS root him, which I recommend using a healing touch on, he's got his fucking spider belt. If you throw in your your goblin net at that point, you win the duel if it lands, but you don't have NS, so I doubt you'll live that long. So you kind of have to NS heal. So he's got pretty much a break for every single root you can throw at him at the top level. But in most cases, I think with most rogues, going the CC route versus them is a good win condition. So you have to bear form every kidney. You have to survive as long as you can, constantly throw roots, make sure Fairy Fire stays up. You can also abolish blinds if you're really good. It's hard, but you can. If you didn't know, blind is a poison. So if you put up abolish poison every 2 seconds, it removes the poison. You could remove the blind and fuck the rogue completely. That's a montage moment whenever you land it. Fuck. How do I explain Rogue versus Druid? It's actually such a fun and frustrating duel. What I've learned is to not go the CC route. You are limited on time to kill this rogue. Eventually, you're gonna fucking die, I think. I don't even bother CCing them. I actually don't fucking care because all they're gonna do is it's just trading their cooldowns while my health is going down and theirs isn't. In the duel tournament setting, what I went for was I bursted all their cooldowns. I just went through all of them and then lost the duel, and the next duel was a free win. But if we're not doing it in that way, where you're just trying to get one win and everyone has all their cooldowns, in my opinion, the best way to go about it is to leave bear form, moonfire spam them when kidney shots on cooldown or they don't have the combo points for it, and then pre-bear form every kidney. You'll rush them down quicker. Also abolish every poison or abolish every blind. If you can do that, rate? You would.
What's the success rate on that, you would say? Like, what's the likelihood of pulling it off?
I will beat every single rogue that is not a top tier rogue.
Okay.
I will beat every single one. But if it is a top tier rogue that knows my strat and knows the way to win, if they're cold blood hemo, I should never get a win. It's entirely dependent on my bash landing for CC to get away and recover a little bit. But with evasion and a rogue knowing that I'm going to try and back jump them to get behind them for a bash, it shouldn't happen. It's depending on their mistakes.
Got you. Okay. Looking forward to seeing you go with Peo in round 1 of the championships.
So, yeah, I can win, especially with the right crits. But like, say I duel Bobka, his damage is so fucking insane that I actually kind of just die in the opener half the time.
Yeah,
it's that stupid, and it's expose armor. It's all that. I wear as much armor as I possibly can. It doesn't work. I think versus them, and if it's a best out of 3, the best strat again is to just burst all of their cooldowns, make them have none. By just CCing them, and then the next duel going for the wins.
How does it change in the Dagger Rogue matchup?
So Dagger Rogues, unlike other, in BC and so on, you don't really watch this nearly as closely as you do in Classic. You actually have to really, really watch the rogue's energy. I have to know exactly when this rogue has a backstab coming in, and I actually try and bear form the backstab and then shift back out. It's worth the 500 mana because backstabs hit super hard. And they also earn combo points a lot less, so it's much easier to keep track of that kind of stuff. So you have to essentially you can do the exact same thing, but I think CCing them is, again, still not the right play. Fuck, I gotta think about it. Is Thistletea allowed? Is PvP Trinket in?
In the tournament, no, but let's assume that it is. Because
Okay,
most people have it now, yeah.
if PvP Trinket is available, I think at the top level, the best way to play is to genuinely zerg them down no matter what spec the rogue is. Ending the duel quicker than later before he gets his like second kidney off cooldown. And zerg, you have to abolish every blind. You got to keep abolish up most of the time. Keep rejuve up. Keep moonfire up. Keep insect swarm up. Reapply moonfire whenever you can. Every single global that you spend is potentially a global you lose if you do the wrong one. It's really high speed, like it's like a chess match.
Yeah.
It really is like a chess match. It's really rough. It's really hard, but it's really fun too.
Do you ever use like a goblin mortar against a rogue? Is it worth it?
No, because you'll never get the range on them.
Okay.
Like again, if you get range on the rogue, you pretty much win.
Yeah.
I think going for CC is, in my opinion, sometimes the best play, but I usually don't even go for it. I just go for keeping track of all of their combo points, keeping track of their energy, knowing when the damage is going to come in, bear forming that damage, knowing when a blind is going to come in and abolishing it, and winning the duel from that. Just spamming Moonfire. You genuinely just take the damage half the time. It's you're doing more to them than they are to you, as long as you're NSing, getting it off, and not getting caught in any really bad kidneys or blinds.
Okay. I missed Priest, by the way. Going back to Priest. So this is one that you've played, I think, the most successful out of any other Druid. You had the most success with it.
Yeah.
I think you dropped a Priest match maybe in the regular season, or did you win both of them?
I think I won most Priest matches, but I lost to Trickster, who played it really well. You're not supposed to win. It's you want me to talk about Priest versus Druid?
Yeah.
Like, tell me if I'm doing anything wrong. I'm explaining it the best I can.
Dude, you're going
showing things.
No, this is perfect. This is like that's the thing. It's hard because we don't have anything to show.
Yeah,
but,
I'm trying to explain it without showing things.
Yeah.
So Priest versus Druid. It's kind of a mana game. So the way priests work is they have this dot, Vampiric Embrace. It's not really a dot, it's a debuff. And all the damage they deal to you heals them. It has a 10-second cooldown and it lasts 1 minute. You can dispel it, and so it's on cooldown for I think 10 seconds. You need to decurse that. Or it's a curse, sorry. You need to decurse that right away. They cannot be healing off of their damage, otherwise you'll never kill them. Because your damage is very slow. Versus when you're trying to be mana efficient, your damage is kind of slow with a little bit of buildup, maybe sunburst here and there if you get the crits. So you need to decurse that and slowly whittle them down and make them spend a lot of mana on Power Word Shield and things of that sort. They're going to try and get in melee to fear you. If they land a fear, you lose. Maybe you could PvP Trinket it. You can also Mithril Insignia it. They used to be able to mana burn you, but now you can, if they cast mana burn on you, if you go bear form, it doesn't burn you anymore, which is really nice. But if they land a fear on you, they can mana burn you, and it's bad. That's why Shadow Reflector is good too, though. You can also reflect it. Reflecting a Mind Blast is big. So back to the beginning. The Strat versus the Priest is to open on them with Pounce and immediately run the fuck away with Sprint and get distance. Just throw the Pounce in there, because why the fuck not? And now you apply Moonfire, you apply Insect Swarm, you start trying to wrath them down. They're going to dispel you. So this is when the mind games come in. We're going to talk about rank 1 buffs. So you need rank 1 Mark of the Wild, rank 1 Thorns, rank 1 Rejuve, all bound. Even maybe rank 1 Regrowth if you really want to get autistic. Because the priest is going to be dispelling you and all of your hots. And you can make the priest spend more mana than you in the end if you make him dispel hots and buffs that are worthless. Also, you can protect things. So if you innervate yourself, he's going to want to try and dispel the innervate. You can spam yourself with rank 1 Mark, rank 1 Thorns, rank 1 Rejuve, cast Bark Skin, rank 1 fucking Regrowth. You can cast all these different things to kind of aid them down and bait dispels. So you're going to make sure you keep yourself buffed up when you can, know when to do damage, make sure you keep Moonfire and Insect Swarm up, constantly decurse, and do not let him get in melee range for a fear. In that time, he's going to have Shadow Word Pain ticking on you, which is going to hurt a fuck ton. If you rejuve yourself, you could out heal it, but again, he's just going to dispel it. So there are points where you're going to have to cast, and that's going to be hard when he's W keying at you, ready to fear. So getting that heal off is really tough. I think that's why Mithril Insignia might be the play, if you can get Blacksmithing and just be immune to it. But then you're worried about the pre-silence. And also casting a healing touch is rough because he could just grenade you. If you're standing still, he'll definitely land it. This is, in my opinion, why you don't really win the duel. You can also net him if you wear the net. You can't have 50 trinkets on, but if you net him, he can't dispel that net. You get that distance, you get that reset you maybe want. And so that's really what the priest is going to be trying to do to you. What you want to do is you do need to try and force that priest defensive the best you can. Maybe even make him pop out of shadow form and heal, which is where I got my wins versus the priest. I kept the decurse dispelled. I kept the damage rolling. He would stand still, and I would trade some wraths on him. I would land a grenade. He'd be CC'd for 3 seconds. I'd get a healing touch off. I'd keep pumping him. He was low HP. At this point, he's on the defensive, and this time, because of that, I won the duel. I got a lot of good wrath crits, forced him out of shadow. He had to heal. Now he's not doing enough damage. I just sustain, and I just eventually whittle him down to 0 man. But if the priest plays it right, he's going to W key. You're not going to be able to recover. He's going to dispel everything you fucking do. Eventually catch you in fear, mind blast you, silence you, mind flay you to 0 HP.
When you were dueling Bonnie,
that's the duel I was really thinking about when I got the wins.
Got you.
If you go back to the duels versus Bonnie, I forced him out of shadow form because I pump him. He even said, and I quote, "Dude, you're like a mage. Like, where's this damage coming from?"
Yeah.
I got some good wrath crits on him, and they hit really hard. And he just didn't expect it. Again, whenever someone experiences a druid actually doing like top tier druid damage for the first time, they're always stunned. Like, what the fuck? You just don't expect it. Yeah. It can come out of nowhere, especially if the druid gets the crits that he needs. And at that point, he was so low. I dispelled his little decurse. Power Word Shield can only be hit so many times, and he's in shadow form. As soon as he left shadow form, he can't go back in. It costs too much mana. He lost the duel because of it. Twice. And that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. Out of all the classes that you could draw against on the 8th, which one are you the most scared of?
Warlock.
Let's talk about that one then next.
Well, is SL allowed?
SL is banned for the tournament.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm still scared of Warlock, though. They're the scariest. So Druids are the most susceptible to fear class in the game. Fear is your bane. It is your worst. It fucks you. It fucks you hard and deep. So you're really scared of it, and Warlocks can spam it. You don't have a kick for fear, so they don't really have it. There's no punishment for a Warlock casting fear on you. The only saving grace is it's a shortish range, and Druids are really good. It's the same thing with Mages, where you're trying to weave out of range and just stay max distance. You have to weave out of range of fear, but the problem is Death Coil. If they coil you, they're probably going to follow it up with a fear. On top of that, they can also they have a CS with their pet. They coil you, they could immolate you, they could fear you, they could let the fear just rot you down. If they get you low enough, and it's really easy for a Warlock to get you low enough where they have CS off cooldown, recovering is really hard at that point. You can NS back to full, but the problem is eventually they're going to get you in the same position because it's really not hard for them to do it, and they're probably going to kill you in the next run. That they get you in, say, like a fear or anything like that. It's fucking sucks. So your win condition is to dot the Warlock, keep max ranged, just like you would the Mage. Dot him, squeeze in as many wraths as you can. Try and bait CS while you're full HP, because then you could recover. Maybe you'll get him He's going to spam Dispel everything. Maybe he'll Dispel himself with his pet, because I think it's a 6-second cooldown, Phil Hunter. So try and keep rebuffing yourself with rank 1 Mark, rank 1 Thorns, because you don't want him purging a max rank Rejuve, which you'll have on yourself pretty much the whole duel. He gets a lot of value out of dispelling that. So you're just dampening him down, slowly whittling him down, try not to get bursted and killed instantly.
Do you feel like with the SL nerf you have a potential chance of beating Warlock?
I need to duel Warlocks, man. I was dueling. I haven't dueled a really good Warlock yet. Playing SM Ruin is what it's called, right?
It's one of them. Yeah, maybe that's what he's playing.
I haven't dueled a really good Warlock playing that yet. I've only dueled a couple, and I don't know if they're like top tier. Okay. I know there's Cheerios has been playing it for a while, so I could try and duel him, practice on Cheerios. Snuts is going to be really scary. Yeah, it's a rough one. I'm scared of him. I'm scared of Sea-Doo playing enhancement. I'm scared of a lot of things, Tips. I don't want to think about this.
You mentioned Sea-Doo, so we'll jump right into him then next. Shaman. We didn't talk about Shaman, right? Yeah, I don't think so.
Well, there's Elemental and there's Enhancement. So the way Sea-Doo plays it is he has a bunch of MP5 gear. He literally just doesn't hit buttons. And he wins the duel because of it. I try and whittle him down But it's the same thing where I mentioned a druid that's healing through the damage is spending less mana than the druid that's doing damage. It's the same thing here. Sea-Doo is spending less mana healing through my damage than I am damaging. So my only way of really doing decent damage is to really get the most out of my Moonfire. Put up a Moonfire. Don't Moonfire again. Just let it tick all the way through. Same with Insect Swarm. Maybe cast some Wraths here and there, but he just doesn't cast spells. So his MP5 is constantly ticking, especially with all of his MP5 gear. And if he gets to me with a Hand of fucking Ragnaros, I have a chance of dying. Is that's simple. So he literally just W keys, doesn't hit buttons, because hitting buttons makes his mana not regenerate. So he doesn't hit buttons. He just doesn't. If I use, he may purge some stuff here and there if it's worth the trade. But overall, W key, auto attack me down, I just lose. I can't kill him.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be the only case where I'd really want Feral Charge to try and go for that kick and maybe kill him. But overall, enhancement fucks me if you play it right. It's really hard. And Sea-Doo's got the gear and the skill to play it perfectly, and I just get fucked.
Yeah.
Now, Elemental, different story.
Let's go for it. I mean, if I had to take a guess, I don't know what Sea-Doo's plans are, and I think Fizz as well. I don't know. I feel like enhancement kind of bottomed out in the tournament. What do you think?
Yeah, it sucks, but it fucks me, right? So maybe he'll stop. Maybe he'll stop. Thank God. I'd rather him play Elemental. Despite it being better for the entirety of the tournament, enhancement fucks me, and I can't do anything.
Yeah. So let's talk Elemental then. Okay,
Elemental. The Shaman is going to try and one-shot me. You know, it's rough because he's going to be Frost Shocking me. And Frost Shock hits really hard. And I don't really have any way to heal without casting if he's purging all of my rejuves. So I'm going to try and root the Shaman, get distance, and then cast Healing Touches, just basically get myself back to full HP by rooting him because they don't have a magic dispel, and then going in and just Moonfire, Insect Swarm, root him, Moonfire, Insect Swarm. And sometimes I actually want them to cast a Lightning Bolt because they spend more mana damaging than they do healing. So I want to control the damage that they do to me. I want them to cast a Lightning Bolt on me, but know that I can get away, because that means they'll spend mana and I'll be able to Healing Touch to recover. Their win condition, if they spend little mana, they might be able to outlast me in mana. Or if they go for burst, they could grenade me into a fucking Chain Lightning, Earth Shock me from full to 0. So the grenade is the scariest thing, and I need to make sure I go bear form for the grenade so I get a little bit more HP, and then I NS myself out of it. As long as I'm full HP when the grenade lands and not half, I should be good. So that's sort of, yeah.
What trinkets do you use against an Ellie Shaman?
Versus an Ellie Shaman, I like to throw pets on them, so they just kill them instantly, though. But it does cost them a offensive spell mana-wise to do that. So I could use Frost Reflector. AGM is actually really good. They can purge it, but I could pop AGM as they're casting a Lightning Bolt, so I get value out of the AGM. Just completely negates one of their Lightning Bolts. AGM, and another trinket I'd use if I had anything off cooldown. Let me go to my bank really quick and just look. I think I would use, in the CDL, I would use Frost Reflector. I'd reflect frost damage back to them because I know it's pretty easy to predict when a frost thingy is going to come out.
Yeah. I was going to ask, do they use Frost Shock on you knowing you're going to shift out of it? Is it still worth it because of the damage?
Oh, yeah. Yes, exactly. They spam it off cooldown. Because, again, it does a little bit of damage, but I have no way of healing. They purge my rejuve. I have to cast, but you can't cast in front of a shaman because, 1, they can Earthshock me, and 2, if I'm casting, that means I'm standing still, which means they can cast a Lightning Bolt on me. They're going to do more damage than I can heal. So that's sort of the whole idea behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking now at my trinkets. Yeah, I think I would use the Frost Reflector and AGM. If I don't, yeah. That's what I'd use.
If you didn't have AGM, would you use Marker Resolution or something else?
If I didn't have AGM, I would probably use... I'm looking. Maybe Lifestone if I could. But I have Furlbog Medicine Pouch to heal me a little bit. Actually, I'd probably throw in the Mithril Mechanical Dragon Link. So the cool thing is you can throw pets on people. Say I root the shaman. If I root him and I go and drink, we're both going to drink. But if I root him and throw a dragonling on him, it's going to knock him in combat, and then I'm going to be out of combat drinking. And I'm going to get a lot of mana out of it. And that's the kind of advantage you need in a dampening fight to get you more mana than them and pull out a win. If they come out, if they want to frost shock the Mithril Dragonling, well, that's a frost shock that they used on a trinket. You can effectively, I don't know the mana cost of Dragonling, but you can sort of just take away that mana from them. Say it costs 500, it's minus 50 intellect or 40, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I look at it. So survive their burst. Try and get them in roots so you can recover, because if you don't get them in roots, you're not going to recover. They're gonna purge every heal you do. The same principle of rank 1 buffs is kind of thrown into this. You have to rank 1 mark, rank 1 thorns, keep these things alive. Maybe rank 1 rejuve if the time comes for it to bait purges, because again, you want to spend less mana than them, and you want to bait their mana. Get them in roots, outlast them. That's how you're going to kill. You're not going to kill them without ooming them, because they can just heal, right? You don't have a kick.
You talked about putting on like rank 1 buffs and stuff like that. There's something we forgot to discuss at the start. It's technically banned from the CDL because only self buffs are allowed, but using noggin foggers.
Ooh, I love it.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that now, or do you want to wait till the FC stuff to talk about that?
I mean, you can talk about it now. It's no big deal. So noggin fogger, if you're a skeleton, it turns you into a skeleton. It gives you 3 different buffs: skeleton, slow fall, and it can make you tiny. All of which, all 3 of them are good, especially for flag carrying. One, it helps. It's a purge. It's a magic buff. So if a shaman is purging you, if you're putting up rejuve and bark skins, let's say you innervate yourself and they want to purge your innervate. They're going to spam purge over and over. You can noggin fogger. It doesn't have a GCD. You can noggin fogger every 3 seconds and spam yourself with rank 1 buffs, and maybe you'll protect the innervate. Maybe the shaman will literally himself just trying to purge your innervate while you're spamming rank 1 buffs, replacing everything he took off, and noggin foggering, because he replaces 2 at once, right? So noggin foggering is really good. Now, the effects of noggin fogger, outside of the fact that it's a magic debuff, is it turns into a skeleton. If you go, or small or slow fall. If you go bear form, you will still be a skeleton, but have the same benefits of bear form. So the only way to actually tell a druid is in bear form when he has noggin fogger popped is to look at his resource bar. So rage, energy, mana. You have to look at that. That's the only way to tell. And it can actually subconsciously screw over a lot of players that aren't used to it. So a rogue wants to get a druid in a full kidney. He's just used to looking for a bear, right? As soon as bear leaves, okay, kidney now. And it's in the moment type situation, so it's kind of hard to really be used to it, and it really does kind of help to be able to go bear, and people can't even tell you're a bear. Same with travel form. They're just shifting out in general. It's just a really good thing to do. Slow fall is really good for flag carrying, because say you have rocket boots, you pick up the flag, you jump off the graveyard, and you float really, really far at the very end of the rocket boots, still maintaining that speed increase that you wouldn't have otherwise. So slow fall is really good. And being small is also really good, because usually a rogue is always on the offense. It's probably your most dealt with class that you have to constantly be annoyed by as a flag carrier. And just being small is good when it comes to hiding your back, so the rogue can't backstab you easily. So all 3 are really, really good.
Yeah.
And that's basically noggin fogger. I have it keybound because I'm using it off cooldown. I have 75 in my bag right now. I never jump into anything with usually less than 100. Constantly in my bag.
Yeah. So let's say between Warsong Gulch queues, like let's say you're queuing Warsong and you get sent back to the dude, the queue guy. Do you have like somebody porting you back to Tanaris, or do you just kind of chill there for a couple games?
My hearth is gadget stand.
Okay.
You can also get I should do this. You can get the if you go Gnomish Engineering, you can have your teleport to gadget stand. I'm Goblin Engineering and I hate it. You should go, especially as a Druid, Gnomish. I fucked up.
Got you. Okay.
For that specific reason, in my opinion.
All right. Last class we have left then. Do the class by class as warriors.
Okay.
Then we'll go into macros, and then we'll go into And then we'll go into FCing, then we'll go into macros. How about that?
Sure.
I feel like I've already kept you for way too long.
Dog, I don't mind. I'm good.
All right, sweet.
I mean, I get these questions all the fucking time, so I'm just gonna make my D&D message this video. So, we were talking about what was the next thing you want to talk about, Druid wise?
Warriors first.
Okay, so you know all about this, Tips. I've told you plenty of times.
Yeah.
So versus like a lot of the warriors, I've gone through and I've dueled a lot, and I've tried to figure out what the best strats are versus them. I know more about Druid versus warrior duels in BWL gear than I do the current gear. It's in the CDL, warriors don't have PvP trinket, so the best route of dealing with a warrior is to CC them. You have more CC than they have root breaks. Eventually, they're going to be in a root, and they're not going to be able to get out. It's actually really hard to beat warriors, especially when you allow them to use fucking wreck, which is insane. So the whole duel is basically the warriors running at you. It's just like rogues. They run at you, and they don't let you get away, and they just try and fucking kill you with all their cooldowns being spammed back to back. And if they don't kill you and you get away, you win as a druid. So do you want to talk with PvP trinket or without?
I'm down to do both. I think let's do both. Let's do with first.
Okay, with PvP trinket, in BWL gear versus like the top warriors that I've dueled, you actually don't want to CC them. You actually face tank almost everything. You want to start the duel with an absorb shield so they don't get any rage. So you start with AGM because they have to auto attack the shield down, and you kind of want to moonfire them, and you want to pre-bear form every mortal strike they do, and you just moonfire them down. Because if you try and CC them, they're going to have a break for almost every single one, especially if they're gnome. If they're gnome, there's no hope. You can root them, they'll PvP trinket. You can root them again, they'll spider belt. You can root them again, they could fucking fear it. They're going to get out. You're not going to be able to kill them that way. So, from what I've learned, or gnome racial it, the best way is genuinely to bear form every mortal strike, shift back out, back to moonfire spamming, mortal strikes off cooldown, bear form it. If they don't use mortal strike and they start kind of catching on to your mind games, at that point, sitting in bear form and them not hitting mortal strike, maybe you start CCing them, like War Stomp Root, go back bear. It's an interesting little matchup that kind of gets kind of mind game-ish. But from what I've learned, despite what people think, I don't know if CCing the warrior is always the right route. It doesn't work too well because they will get you and they will chunk you so fucking hard. They will out DPS you in bear. Like, you don't do any damage in bear. You just don't. And they will kill you and eventually just get enough rage off of bear and just one-shot you as soon as you try and do anything.
Yeah.
So with PvP trinket, you can try the CC route. I think it'll beat most warriors. Just root them constantly. War Stomp root, fucking pounce into root. But overall versus really, really good warriors, at least in my situation for CDL and whatnot, if PvP trinket was allowed, I don't think I'd go for CC. I'd have to test it out a little bit more, but a lot of people don't realize how helpful these little weird fucking items are when it comes to mobility for melee.
Yeah.
Like, it really screws over a lot of these classes that try and kite them, right? Mages have so much CC that doesn't fucking matter. They'll always beat warriors. But a druid, they have enough to get out of pretty much every route till it's DR'd.
Yeah.
So without PvP trinket, yeah, I mean, you can... One thing you can really do to fuck them over...
Please let me know, yeah.
It's really cool. So be in the balance tree, you make sure to get Nature's Reach, where it increases the range of your Moonfire by 20%. You can literally Moonfire them to death, and they can't charge you because you're max range. So if they don't have Goblin or Gnomish boots equipped, they literally can't get to you. And you can kill them, and they'll never touch you a single time. So it's the same thing with roots. So in the tournament, I actually like to start the duel by rooting them max distance. I don't pounce them, especially if they're orc. It's just not worth the resist chance. So I just root them from max distance. If they want to pop like their spider belt at that point, they can. They're immune to CC, but then maybe I can Nature's Grasp them. Maybe they could pop their little servants and eat the Nature's Grasp. But if I get them in one more root, I could just NS root them at that point. I don't need it. They can't get out. They don't have PvP trinkets, so. And it just kind of wins the duel. But if they pop wreck on me, they're immune to CC for 5 seconds, and I'll die in the 5 seconds because of Spider Belt. Like, that's I don't know what else to do. I just die during that time. And they also have Rage Pot, so it's fucking insane.
Yeah.
So Rage Pot, Pop Reckless, I'm just fucking dead. I'm not hitting any buttons. I'm just gonna die.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned. So
all right, that's pretty much all the classes. Thank you so much for that breakdown, Chance. Like that, very insightful.
I'd rather be able to show people. It's a little bit better. Just talking about it's hard, but I said as much as I possibly could. I've tested. The rogues and warriors are probably the most debatable thing because, again, you can go the CC route, but if you go for the CC route, you have to, the duel, eventually you're going to die or go So whatever route you pick, you kind of need to stick with it. If you're going CC route, don't moonfire the rogue or warrior because you have a chance on breaking roots unless you're really out of range. If you're going for damage, don't bother wasting globals on roots. You have to stick with one route. And from what I've learned, the damage route, a lot of the time, is actually best. Especially with PvP Trinket.
Got you. Okay. With that being said, that's pretty much the totality of Druid solo PvP.
It's hard. It's a hard class to play. It's hard.
Yeah, I can only freaking imagine. And we're gonna get into all the macros, and you said down ranking and all that stuff. We'll hop over right now though to flag carrying because it's kind of a very specific thing.
Yep.
So I'm actually gonna go back and open up the Druid talents real quick, and we're gonna pretty much do a reset on this. So flag carrying, you said you're a little bit new to it so far, but you've been doing amazing. I watched you play on Skippypoppin a bunch. You've done a phenomenal job. Let's start off with the talents, and then we can talk about like the jumps and the noggin foggers and the consumables and all that stuff.
Sure. So there's pub stomping, and then there's actually pre-made versus pre-made, and they're both played very differently, but the spec is always the same. So first thing, let's start in balance. You get Nature's Grasp, but this time you max it out. You want to get the 4 to the right of it. So you want that root to proc instantly. You don't want to wait for it to potentially proc. You want to root instantly. Plus, you don't need Improved Wrath because you're not a damage dealer. You're a fucking flag carrier. Then you need Natural Shapeshifter. You're constantly shifting roots. You need to be able to basically shift out of slows. And a lot of pre-mades, their strat is to actually the Druid. They don't care about your health. They care about your mana. So being able to shift more than less is always nice. And then we move on. You're done with balance. Now we go into Feral. You actually get Feral Charge because Feral Charge is a lot of mobility, especially in a flag room where you can't travel for them. So being able to Feral Charge in those rooms is really nice.
So do we go 3 ferocity, 2 feral aggression, or 5 feral aggression?
Dog, I don't think it doesn't even matter that much. I think I would get 5 out of 5 ferocity because I like being able to actually hit maul and hit claw. I just like being able to actually hit buttons. It really reduces the amount it costs. But I think feral aggression is overall better just to reduce the damage you take. So just get 5 out of 5 feral aggression. Fuck it.
Okay.
Then you want 3 out of 5 feral instinct. Actually, fuck. I know you want 2 out of 2 brutal impact. I don't know if you want thick hide or not. Or 3 out of 3 feral instinct. Or 3 out of 5. I think it's really what your opinion is. I would get 3 out of 5 feral instinct because I like not being able to be found in stealth. As a flag carrier, you're always going to deal with a rogue waiting in the flag room against good premates. A rogue is always going to wait in the flag room looking for you. So I think I'd prefer the feral instinct just to reduce the chance he finds me in stealth when I'm stealthing in there. And then you grab feral charge. And now we move to the resto tree. So you need 5 out of 5 Fure because you need to be able to shift into bear and instantly feral charge or instantly bash. Then you get 5 out of 5 healing touch. Then 3 out of 3 reflection. You get 1 insect swarm. Let's get 1 in nature's focus. 5 out of 5 in tranquil spirit. 3 out of 3 in improved rejuve. Did you get it?
Yep.
Okay, now 1 in nature swiftness. Max out gift of nature. Get 1 point in improved regrowth, and then another point in improved regrowth. That should be your whole. Pretty much, there's a couple talents you might be able to move around here and there, but overall, there's not any major differences. This is your flag carry spec.
Okay.
So as you can see, you don't do dick for damage. You're not a damage dealer. You're a survivor. You can shift a whole lot. You can feral charge, and you even have fucking Swiftmen to heal yourself. So when you go in to flag carrying, the whole idea is I'm gonna talk premates versus premates. Usually a rogue is always on defense. You want to go in there maybe with a mage to help you out if their defense is really strong to guarantee you to get that flag. And you don't have a healer with you most of the time. That's why you're actually a resto druid. You don't really get any survivability bonuses out of feral. So you sort of heal yourself. That's why Swiftman is really, really nice to have. Do you want to like direct me what you want me to talk about in the Worst on Gulch, or you want me to just go off?
Dude,
with the strat.
Part of me just wants you to go off because it's beautiful.
Okay.
Basically, what I was going to talk about is just if there's any gear changes for FC and what you use.
Armor.
And just armor? Okay.
I mean, it's, again, the main class you're dealing with. I mean, a lot of the times if you're going... So the whole idea is getting the flag out of the flag room. That's the beginning. Both teams are going to go in. There's going to be a mid-fight. And the druid is going to go into the flag room and try and get the flag out. Maybe he has a mage with him. Maybe he doesn't. Sometimes you go in by yourself. When you go in by yourself, the rogue, his goal is actually not necessarily to kill you. It's to CC you long enough so that people in that mid-fight, when they die, they respawn at the base and then they come help kill you. Right? So the rogue could cheap you, gouge you, kidney you, blind you, prep, blind you again. You're CC'd for 20 fucking seconds. People are going to die. They're going to come help. All he needs is one other person and you're going to die if you're by yourself. So the way you can counter this is you can run into the flag room, pop a free action potion, pop a Skull of Impending Doom, which makes you take damage every second, and you grab the flag and you run the fuck out. Because you're taking damage from Skull, he can't blind you. You're also moving really fast in bear form indoors. Because you have a free action potion, he can't stun you. He can't gouge you. He can't do any CC. If the rogue is really good, he's going to wait for Skull of Impending Doom to be basically gone, and he's going to helmet you, which is going to last a long time. This is why, at the end of the day, usually you have a mage go in the flag room with you. And that mage is going to secure that flag. You're going to get it out no matter what happens. Mage could just poly the rogue. So you have the flag out of the room. You're with your mage buddy. Maybe you're by yourself. Who knows? And now you're midfield. Let's say you're maybe half mana. Who knows? At this point, you can be kind of tricky. You can be cool, and you can do special little jumps to juke the team. Let's assume you lost mid-fight. Your team lost mid-fight. At this point, you can go out in the open. If you're playing it smart, though, you might not want to do that. You actually hide in their base on the roof. Because if you go midfield, you're walking to fucking 8 players, they're just going to kill you, or 5, who knows? It only takes 2 to kill you if you're by yourself. So you actually jump on the roof and you wait for your team to res, come and help you get you out, things like that. Let's assume you won the mid-fight. Well, you just fucking run to your team. Hey, guys, you're midfield with your team. You run in the base. Maybe you cap it. Maybe they got your flag out. Who knows? What I've learned in pre-mades versus pre-mades, if it's a really good pre-made, doing really flashy, cool jumps is not really a good call. It's low gain, or it's high. It's low-ish gain with high risk. Really just playing it smart, doing basic, normal stuff. Yeah. But when you're going against randoms, you can do some pretty flashy jumps, and you can just get completely away from everyone. You could run the flag down mid by yourself versus 5 people a lot of the times by just juking all of them. It's really fun. But a good pre-made, I mean, if people know the jumps, you're not going to be able to do too many flashy things versus them. I helped my team lose a game because I tried to do a jump, and I didn't have to. It was my first time ever doing a pre-made versus pre-made, and I learned a lot from it, but it helped lose us the game. It was not a good call. So in a really good pre-made versus pre-made, doing those jumps, if the enemy team is experienced enough and kind of knows what's going on, it's just not worth. But you're not going to run into pre-mades like that very often. Jumps are fun as fuck, and I recommend doing them most of the time.
Is there any particular jump that you want to point out and be like, this is like a really, like, this is like the priority, basically, which are the most important to learn?
It all depends on where you are, man. There's jumps at both graveyards, Horde and Alliance. The Horde one is way easier to do than the Alliance one. There's jumps, the tunnel, the entrance on Horde and Alliance. You can jump on top of that tunnel from the bottom. The Horde one, again, is way easier than the Alliance one. And it just depends on the situation. Like if I see 3 warriors or 2 fucking 4 people, it doesn't matter who they are, running at me, and I'm next to a jump, my only chance of living is that jump. I'm gonna go for it. Depends on where I am though. Let's say I'm at the tunnel. Let's say they're coming down tunnel and I'm at tunnel. I'm like, oh fuck. I'm gonna jump up the tunnel. Let's say they have 10 alliance outside our tunnel on horde side. I'm like, and I'm running with the flag by myself. Shit, I can't go tunnel. Okay, I'll do the graveyard jump and I'll jump up the graveyard. Things like that. If I had to say anything about flag carrying though, the most important thing is really keeping in mind where the enemy rogue is, because that's what you got to worry about. Druids are so fucking mobile and they're so slippery, but a stun lock is what can kill you, especially out of bear form. So knowing where the rogue is your biggest thing. Without a rogue, it's really hard to kill you. Maybe Death Coil could finish the job, but it's the stuns that fuck you.
Do you ever put on any stealth detection gear, anything like that? Cat's eye goggles?
Yeah, there's times. There's times to throw on cat's eye goggles, if you're just suspecting a rogue to just kind of being around. But overall, you don't want to have cat's eye goggles when the team initiates on you. Yeah. So there's different points of the game. Let's assume you're in a situation where both teams have the flag. Your best play as a druid is to be on the roof, your roof, and the enemy druid is going to be on his roof. And you're kind of turtling, and you have your offensive team, you have your defensive team. You want to have as much armor gear on, and you don't want to let them get to you. There's sort of a meta that's been made over the course of private servers that everyone's people have practiced Warsong Gulch, and they found out the best way to play it. And the best way to play it is, again, you sit on roof, they're going to run up ramp, they're going to free action potion, they're going to fucking goblin rocket boots, and they're just going to run up. You can't slow them. You should have a priest on defense with you, spam dispelling their free action potions, and a mage trying to CC the people that got their free action potion dispelled. And the druid is just going to run. You're not going to help. You're just going to fucking run. You're dropping off of roof, and you're running the fuck away. The priest and mage are going to run in, CC them as much as they can to help you get away, and kill themselves in the process. Or maybe they'll get CC'd. Who knows? You run to graveyard, where the mage and priest hopefully resurrect and help you at that point. The rogue on the enemy team knows you're going to jump, and he's going to be sitting there at the bottom of the roof waiting for you. If you jump down and the rogue opens on you in a cheap gouge kidney combo, well, now those people that are running up with their free action potions and goblin boots are going to gang up on you. You're going to have 5 people all over you. You can be as tanky as you want to be. You're going to die. You're just dead.
So how do you deal with that rogue?
You free action potion right before you jump off.
Okay.
So you know the rogue is down there. You're going to jump, and you can also Skull of Impending Doom, because another thing the rogue could do is you free action potion. He just blinds you. Okay. His whole goal is to just let the whole team get to you. Once they all get to you, you aren't getting away. You are going to die. So the rogue could just blind you. So you Skull of Impending Doom, you free action potion, or you could abolish yourself even if you wanted to do that. That's another strat. But he also has Flash Bomb, which is fucking AIDS. So you could also Mithril Insignia. So now you're immune to fear, you're immune to all CCs, and you're immune to stuns. Now you run Graveyard. The whole idea is not letting him get to you. It's a turtle game, and just running, constantly running. And I mean, at that point, there's not really a lot of situations in like really good first pre-mades, where you can do flashy jumps, but sometimes it's your only fucking chance of living. Maybe you can do some. I don't know if we're going to talk about where all the jumps are, but those are sometimes your best chance of living. Most of the time, though, just randomly doing it because you're trying to make a fucking YouTube montage video, it's low gain with high risk.
Yeah,
especially in the heat of a moment.
I wish we could open up. Some kind of like graphic or something.
Yeah.
Or we were like in a game, but I can't right now. Is there anything else you wanted to add to like flag carrying in general?
So we talked about Noggin Fogger. So when you pop a free action potion, you're immune to stunts, right? The enemy team doesn't like that. You're going to have enemy priests spamming dispels on you. So as I mentioned before, that Noggin Fogger is a magic debuff. They're going to try and dispel every single thing they possibly can. And if you aren't needing to be in bear form, constantly refilling trash buffs to protect your free action potion is really nice to do. And Noggin Fogger, as it comes to no cost other than not being in bear form, is really nice to spam. Plus, I mentioned earlier, being in bear as a skeleton is nice. I think undead looks cooler too than fucking boring ass bear form. So that's another thing.
Yeah.
So flag carrying, that's really what you want to do. You're just a survivor, man. You just live. That's pre-made versus pre-made. Now in pub stomping, if you're just queuing solo, fuck man, that shit is hilarious. That's the most fun thing in the world to do. To juke people by doing jumps they don't know how to do or have never seen. To just break people's ankles. You can run to the edge of the roof and then jump in place, and they'll think you jumped off. So you can make them jump off roof when you're still on. You can fuck with people, man. It's hilarious. It's the best thing in the world. I love flag carrying in that regard.
If we were to set up some kind of Warsong Gulch tournament, do you think that's something that a lot of people would be excited for? Do you think it's something with a really high skill cap, or is it something that's kind of solved and it's rock, paper, scissors?
I think it's when it comes to deciding the meta and like what the best like matchups or like teams to put together are, I think that stuff is sort of decided. But when it comes to like, well, EU for the most part, because private servers were hosted on EU and whatnot, and that's where all the metas and people have sort of decided that's where the really, really good teams are. Those guys are not only experienced, but also really skilled. I don't see a ton of room for improvement when it comes to those teams. NA, however, there's a lot of room for a lot of really good teams to kind of just take over. Unfortunately, I don't think there's. I mean, if you set up like maybe a tournament or something and maybe make that happen, there could be some competitive Warsong Gulch. And I think a lot of people miss out on the potential of competitive Warsong Gulch. It is super fucking fun and super cool. It's just there's no natural competitive scene in it because everyone's farming AV for honor. If you do fucking getting 10 really good players, like all the really good players are just doing honor per hour, right? They're all doing AV, so getting them in Warsong is just fucking doesn't happen, unfortunately. But if people gave it a chance, it's super fucking cool.
Blizzard buff Warsong Gulch honor, and it'll happen, man.
Yeah, it's super fucking cool. And there's a high skill cap to it. I don't know how much the meta can really be changed, but there is a lot of room for individuals to shine in Warsong, I think.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it comes to that point. If Blizzard buffs Warsong Honor, we get War Games or tournament or something. Hopefully it works out. Before we go on to the macros and wrap things up, is there anything else you want to talk about when it comes to flag carrying?
Not necessarily with flag carrying, no. Overall, like there's other people that have a lot more experience with, again, pre-made versus pre-made is an entire different monster with it. But from what I've gathered with the very few pre-mades that I've done, that is sort of the flag carrier's job and how it works. The really main game is getting the flag out of the starting room. Again, a rogue, maybe a hunter will be helping defend. You want to have a mage with you. It makes it way easier. Then getting down midfield, it really comes down to whether or not your team has mid control. And then there's the turtle phase where you sit on roof. Everyone's going to run up to roof and you just kite. I think I went over pretty much all the 3 different types of phases there are to competitive Warsong flag carrying.
Yeah. All right. Then with that being said, I've got my game open in the background here. Final macros, I guess, for druids. So I don't know how you want to do this. I know you have a lot of macros.
I can share my screen.
That would actually be awesome.
Yeah, I can always just share my screen here. There you go. You see it?
Sweet. Yeah, let me see if I can fit this now in here, and then we should be okay. I might just, if you give me a second here just to kind of bring this up and out, kind of just focus on your macros there. All right. I think...
All right, so let me know when you're ready.
All right, I am ready.
Okay, so let's go over. So all these macros, they can kind of be made with an add-on. I just haven't taken the time to find it because I'm stupid. Fuck, I think let's go back to retail macro. Let me just delete all the worthless ones. Okay, so the whole idea is, let's go to my spell book. If I hit Healing Touch, I can't do it because I'm in Shapeshift form. See? This is me hitting just Healing Touch. But let's hit my macro. Let's find the Healing Touch macro. Where the fuck's my healing touch? Here we go. It's just /cancel form /cast healing touch. So let's click it. It takes me out of form. So instead of having to hit bear form, then hit healing touch, I can just hit healing touch. It takes me right out. That's what most of these macros are. And that's why literally every single spell on my entire screen is a macro. I think there's an add-on that might do this, but that's one of those. So another macro I have is a weapon swap macro. There are times where you might be completely you cannot cast Moonfire, you can't cast anything. You want to there was a duel where I was fighting Venruki in the duel tournament. He's a mage. We were both completely mana tapped, and I was meleeing him. I have a weapon swap macro to swap to my two-handed in case I want to beat him. So let's find that macro. Here it is. So it'll equip my Aura Stone. If I hit it once, it just hit the same macro over and over and just keep swapping. So I use a two-hander sometimes to beat people to death. It happens. Everything else is just a cancel form macro. I think the same thing should go for when you're flag carrying. You want to have your potions to be macroed. So /cancel form, reaction potion. I mean, in the heat of the moment, you need to do this stuff really quick. You can't be taking the time to hit buttons twice. As min-max as that sounds, it really adds up. Same with a healing potion if it ever comes down to it. Trying to see if I have any other macros. I think no, I think that's pretty much it, man. Just /cancel form every single spell. War Stomp, Thorns. Yeah, that's it. Sorry, I'm boring. It's all the macros I have.
No worries. You want to talk about downranking then? Like which spells you use multiple? Yeah.
Well, we talked about all the rank 1 buffs, and those are really just for trash buffs to bait dispels and whatnot. But rank 4 Healing Touch and rank 9 Moonfire are what I would say are my most commonly downrank spell that I use out of everything. I don't really downrank much else. Rank 1 Moonfire sometimes to stomp totems. Say a Shaman has Grounding Totem down, you need to rank 1 Moonfire it to break it. That's my rank 1 Moonfire right there. So here's downrank Healing Touch. You want to do this because sometimes you're just missing a little bit of HP. You're not missing, a ton. But you don't want to max rank Healing Touch. You don't want to fucking regrowth because it's overkill. But you want to top yourself off. Rank 4 Healing Touch is a good way to do that. I would even go as far as to saying I would if you can, you'll be better than me if you do this because I don't have it. I would get maybe like a rank 7 Healing Touch in there too. It heals you for 1,500. I think it's a really nice amount. Then you have your heal for 1,000 or 750, and you have your heal for 1,500. It's just nice to squeeze it in. I think that's really all the down ranking there is to Druid for me. I don't have any other macros. Maybe for raiding, I have like a decurse, whatever the fuck. But yeah, if you really want to get autistic, it's really nice to have targeting keybinds for your team. So instead of having to click your frames and shit in a PvP match, it's good to have it keybound where you target. I have a keybind to target myself, of course. I have a keybind if I was in a group. Invite this dude. Hey, Dassy, get in my group. Help me make this video. You piece of shit. In a group, whatever. So if I had someone else in my group, I could hit the keybind. It would target number 2 and number 3. I have 4 and 5 as well if I had a full party. And being able to be quick on abolishing poison, dealing with, I forgot about abolish poison in fucking Warsong. You have to remove poison from your team. Abolish poison, all the Viper Stings. And also, you must remove Curse of Tongues. You need to be super quick at it. If you can leave bear form to decurse them, it helps. It's so important. So that's why you want targeting team or keybinds for your teammates or your party. Is you're really quick at dispelling it. Rather than being a noob and mousing over everything, you need to fucking have that shit keybound. You should never click a single thing in this game. If you're really trying to min-max, never click. Everything keybound. So one thing I really forgot to mention is for flag carrying specifically, it's big. Also for dueling, you're a dampener. So drinking on mana ticks is super important. Let me drain my mana really quick. As I mentioned before, they're going to try and you rather than kill you, because as soon as they make a druid that's flag carrying, they essentially kill him. So let me put on my flag carry gear. There we go. I think this is my flag carry gear. No, it's not. Yikes. There we go. Flag carry go. Here. All right. So they're gonna try and you. You can drink on mana tick. So do I? I have 59 water. So if you're running, let's say let's watch here. Every time I hit it, you can do this while moving. So I can actually do it in the air. So let's run, drink, shift back in, drink, shift back in, drink, shift back in, drink. So I'm actually shifting out. I'm messing it up though. If you can really get it, it makes your mana go up. But the most important part is when you do it with innervate. So if you actually innervate yourself, which you will do a lot of the time when you're running out of the flag room, and you can run down field without losing anything at all or any speed if you do it right, it'll amplify the innervate a lot. I don't know if you're getting it or not.
Yeah, I'm looking at the bar. Yeah. Dude, that's sick.
See, I'm getting it occasionally. I've just randomly booted this up to re-add it, but fuck, I'm not doing it right either. But overall, I think drinking on mana ticks, if you're dueling, say like a shaman, every time you're out of combat and you weave, you need to make sure you drink on a mana tick. And as a flag carrier, if you do it with innervate, it's really, really helpful. I just randomly haven't done it in a while, but usually you can jump midair, drink while moving, as long as you do it with the mana tick, with innervate proc, and it will give you a ton of mana. You should be able to get it every time. It's actually really way easier than it sounds. But let me example one more time, maybe. You can even just do it like this. This is really easy if you're not shifting and travel. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
And then again, if you weave and travel form with it, you overall generate more if you do it than you go travel. There we go. I'm getting it now. Yeah, now I'm getting it. It helps a lot. So with flag carrying, if you want to become a retard mid-maxer, drinking on mana ticks is extremely important, especially indoors. Indoors is really easy. You don't have to go travel or anything like that. So doing it with innervate, match it up, especially midfield, gives you a hell of a lot more mana. And a lot of teams will not understand how you're moving so fast while regenerating all that mana back. And it helps a whole lot. So just throw that back in. It's very important. I think other classes drink on mana ticks as well, but doing it as a druid, I feel like is probably more important than other classes. It's a big, big thing. So I recommend getting a good mana tick add-on of some sort.
Beautiful. Everything keybound. Sodapoppin 2020.
Everything. Wait till BC. We'll get even more autistic with targeting Arena 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and setting them to focus too. You got 10 more key bindings needing to be made. Good luck.
You excited for TBC?
Very excited for BC, man. I love Arena. Arena's the best form of PvP, I think. I think Warsong has potential to be up there, but it's never been given a solid chance. Unfortunately. So let's hope maybe something happens with this AV grind. And I just, without any form of changes, I don't see it ever happening, though.
Yeah. We'll see what the future has to hold. In the meantime, Sodapoppin, thank you so much, man. Like, that was probably the most in-depth PvP look into Druid I've ever seen or heard. Is there any like tips and tricks, any final little things, you want to leave the listener with?
I think, oh fuck, man, it's a really, it's a chess player's class. You need to really kind of know exactly what your opponent is doing or trying to do, and countering it with all the different buttons you have as a druid. I think druids have the least powerful buttons in the game, but we have the most buttons. And I think that's the best way to describe druid.
There it is. Well, once again, Chance, thank you so much for coming on, man. Really, really appreciate it. Highly informative, educational, and hopefully it helps out some of those druid players out there that are looking to maximize their high bidder class. Before we go, any shout outs? Obviously, guys, if you want to watch some high octane druid gameplay, honestly, I'm not just saying this because he's here. I think he's one of the best druids in the world. Definitely one of the best, if not the best in NA. Twitch.tv/Skippypoppin. I'll put the link in the description below. And hopefully he's going to be streaming soon again on his main channel as well. If you just want to check out Sodapoppin, twitch.tv/Sodapoppin as well.
I'm happy to discuss more on druid stuff. It's just usually people don't give a fuck. So I don't usually get that in depth. But I'm happy to talk about it on things like this if people are willing to ask. again, usually people just kind of fall asleep as soon as I talk in depth. I could probably explain it a hell of a lot more if I could show things, but that's where it comes down to when it comes to asking. So happy to talk about it. Just usually people sleep on Druid class. It's really annoying.
Yeah. Well, you're hopefully showing it off, man, and people will definitely take it more seriously, I think, after watching this and watching you play. Again, guys, twitch.tv/Skippypoppin, check him out. And then we'll see you in the tournament on January 11th.
All right. Thanks, Tips. Appreciate it.
Problem, man.
Bye,
Have
guys.
a good night.
Peace.
Peace.